I feel like there are layers of consciousness. It's like we know we are nothing and everything at the same time, but we also have to work out our fears and sadness, knowing that that's nothing but exists because we are feeling it. I'm sorry for my English. I'm sorry for my English too. It depends on how you're using the word consciousness. Are you using consciousness as personal consciousness? There isn't, of the big consciousness can't have layers. Who you truly are can't have layers, it's free. But on the human level, there's layers of being more contracted and more in illusion and less of being in illusion. But who you truly are doesn't have any layers, it can't. But everyone uses all those words so differently. So some people use that as personal consciousness. Our conditioning, is that the word? Yeah, there's layers of conditioning. There's but freedom isn't about becoming unconditioned. The body's always going to be conditioned. So it's just that normally what has to happen is there has to be a relaxing of that conditioning. So it's like, imagine it like clouds, like freedom is the pure blue sky and the clouds are all your conditioning. And when it's really dense and thick, it's hard to see that beyond that there is this pure blue sky. So it's like making the clouds less dense, but you don't have to get rid of all the clouds. You can still have clouds in the sky and they can be super beautiful, the shapes and the forms. It's just that when it's so dense and you're totally lost and forgotten in your conditioning, and you're in a very painful place in your conditioning. So it's just a relaxing of that. It's actually an energetic letting go of attachment to your conditioning and to your thoughts, but normally prior to that there's relaxing and understanding and mellowing out of that conditioning. It's an end of attachment to your body. It's this energy which sucks it all in and says me. One of the hardest things to get over through this process is realizing that you're not going to be a perfect person. I know that sounds really crazy, but we do all have this secret dream of becoming a perfect superhuman, and you can't be. I mean, in a way, it's arrogance to believe that you could be. But we have this image of this Buddha, or we have all these ancient stories, and we see gurus or teachers sitting on a throne with flowers next to them, and we think, wow, they're so special, I want to be like them. And they never act out, they never get angry, they never have a bad day, they never tell off their children, they never spank their dogs, they never spill food all down themselves while they're eating it in bed watching Netflix. I mean, they never smoke dope, they never drink alcohol, they never have a hangover, they never fight with their family. And we like to imagine that. Because we think that's what makes us suffer. But that's not what makes you suffer. What makes you suffer is the identification of it. It's that letting go of that person that wants to be the perfect person, and it's sort of letting in everything. It's letting in the perfections and the imperfections. That's super hard, because on the separate level, on the human level, we're so conditioned to try to be a perfect person. But actually, when you really think about it, being the perfect person and the attempt to be the perfect person is kind of about trading and money and the exchange of money and being safe in a society. It's funny that that would be connected to it, but it actually is. It's about security and safety. I mean, if you lived on a desert island and you had enough food, but you had no humans around you, no one to see you, I mean, you wouldn't care about pooping in the sand and not cleaning it up, or weeing in the ocean, or pooping in the ocean. Or smelling, or screaming if you feel like screaming, or getting mad with a coconut because it won't open. It's actually to do with society constraints, which is to do with money and trading. Funny, eh? That's why a lot of people that are into this subject go off and live in a really remote place, so they can kind of let go of all that. I mean, consciousness as the fountain, God, universe. Yeah, God doesn't have different levels. God is God, it's in everything. But waking up has different levels. The appearance of waking up has different levels. But God is love. You can't have levels of love, but a person can have levels of being more identified and less identified. But you can't have levels of something that is everything. Sometimes when I'm in pain and I let go, I feel as if I'm running away from the pain. It's tricky. Yeah. But just remember that your mind likes to tell you you've done something wrong. So maybe you're doing absolutely perfectly.